Alright. Bunch of empty battery ports. Oh, heck. That guy didn't have a head. Isn't that... That's smart. How does he plan to beat me if he doesn't have a head? You know, I keep making jokes like that, and I only ever, like, occasionally explain, like, where that line comes from to me. Whoop. Ow. Because I don't just say something like, how do you plan to beat me if you don't have a head, like, out of nowhere, you know? Like, okay, a bit of a story time here. Because, again, I only ever really talk about this, like, occasionally. But, way back in the day, back in my younger years, when I was but a wee shark pup, I didn't really understand what fanfiction was. Also, hello, Ion Agenda. Back in, like, 1892. I mean, fast forward, like, 107 years, maybe? Thereabouts? Anyways, I didn't really understand what fanfiction was. And so occasionally I would find things just like, oh, here's a story from the world of what the fuck? From the world of, like, Sonic the Hedgehog or Super Smash Brothers. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. That's cool that there's, like, a story of these characters without realizing that, like, it wasn't, like, official. Wait. Did I come from here? Yeah, I did. So, once upon a time, I found this thing which is like, oh, here's a story of Super Smash Brothers. And I think it was, like, specifically around the time that, like, Super Smash Brothers Melee had come out. And I thought it was wild because I did not think Super Smash Brothers had a story. So, like, the concept of, like, oh, here's a Super Smash Brothers story was wild to me. And it was a story about a fight between Fox McCloud and Dark Link. I was just like, what the fuck is a Dark Link? Because I don't think I had really, like, put a lot of hours into Zelda at the time, you see. So I'm reading this story, and to start with, they mention Dark Link having a double-edged sword, which, I mean, like, you know, yeah, that's a pretty accurate way of describing, like, the Master Sword or other swords of its style. This man is stuck in my torso. But in my mind, I didn't register what that was because I was too young to understand what a double-edged sword was, like, conceptually. So in my mind, I conjured up a weapon that was like, okay, you have, like, your standard sword handle, your grip, and then the crossguard, and then, like, the blade going out from there. But then, like, at some point, it, like, splits in, like, a Y shape and curls back in on itself. I don't know why this is what I thought a double-edged sword was. I don't. But, in my mind, this is the weapon that Dark Link was swinging around in this fanfic that I did not that I read at a time when I did not understand what the hell fanfic was. So in the story, it's all about, like, oh, it's Fox and Dark Link fighting, and Fox is suddenly getting, like, the upper hand. And then, suddenly, Dark Link beheads Fox. And me, in my youthful naivete, did not register this as, like, something horrifying. I'm just like, oh, Fox's head can just come off, I guess. I think. And hand to fucking God, Dark Link's, like, witty, like, post-mortem one-liner is something like, how do you expect to beat me if you don't have a head? And I'm just like, even in my underdeveloped brain meats, I'm just like, that is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard somebody claim a person has said. Young Gage, a Fox McCloud fan. He can't die, so I guess he has this power. Weird. So that's why, like, occasionally, whenever, like, someone's head gets, like, lopped off in, like, a game or a movie or something, my immediate thought is, oh, how do you expect to defeat me if you don't have a head? Because I remember this fanfic that I read at a time before I knew what fanfic was. Years and years and years ago. Anyways, that's my story time. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved it, thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad for a portion of your life you had to live with an evil Link canonically kicked Fox's ass. Wow. I just thought that's how the story of Smash Brothers went. I didn't know any better. I will say, I think this was pre-Melee.